Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about faith and reason. I don't know why a Christian or a religious person would think faith and reason cannot work together. Like it has to be faith or reason and not faith and reason. My dear, they can work together. In fact, they should work together. If not, then tell me why churches are building schools. We all know education encourages reasoning. So you see, they are already working together. Except you are saying churches should stop building schools. Or better still, they should build schools where they teach only about faith and nothing else. Or is that not what you are insinuating? Even though reason should not take the place of faith, faith should not be used as an excuse to be unreasonable. Why as believers we must walk by faith and not by sight? Common sense should tell us that if we don't keep our sights wide open while we are walking, we may walk into danger. We don't need faith to tell us that. I don't have a problem with people who always apply reason in a faith conversation. Those I have a problem with are those who say we don't need faith for anything, only reason, even with all the evidence of faith before their eyes. Funny enough, many of them know there's a powerful God, but they just want to keep proving to themselves that He doesn't exist. It is like one coming to tell you, hey, I applied for a job, please help me pray I get the job. Meanwhile, he doesn't believe there is God. So which God do you want me to pray to? And then it's like, I do not believe there is God, but I know you believe. So please pray to Him for me. Come on, how does that even make sense? The truth is, faith is what we can please God with. But reason is what God was pleased to create us with. So I'm sorry if you are not using yours. Don't let the faith you want to use to please Him deprive you of using the reason He was pleased to give you at the very beginning. Faith comes by hearing, Scripture says. But it is in human nature to reason. A man should be able to think. If we are not allowed to reason, what then do we need the gift of wisdom for? Which is one of the gifts of the Spirit. Now let me tell you why wisdom is needed. It is needed so that you can apply faith reasonably. You remember the parable of the Good Samaritan? It was the parable of a man who was going to Jericho from Jerusalem and was attacked by robbers, leaving him half dead. It is said that touching a corpse rendered one ritually impure and unable to serve in the temple. But in this case, the priest and the Levites were not going to Jerusalem. They were coming from Jerusalem. This is so because the scripture says they were going down the road. Jerusalem, where the temple is not down the road. It is on a hill. So this suggests they were traveling away from the temple, which means they've completed their duties in the temple. But even as that, were they willing to risk becoming unclean? No. Even if they were going to the temple, these men were men of God. They were not supposed to have shown love to a dead or a dying man. Samaritans back then were not Jews, and so they were considered impure. But yet, the Samaritan did what men of God couldn't do. That is Jesus teaching His disciples how to apply faith reasonably. You remember how Jesus healed a man with a withered hand on the Sabbath day, which was considered by the Jews unlawful. What was Christ's response? He said to them, what man of you, if he has one sheep, and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? This is Jesus applying faith reasonably. Now you can see why Paul described Jesus as the wisdom of God. Dear friends, before you condemn people for relying on reason alone, you have to help them get to the point where, just like you, they will also start seeing things through the lens of faith. A point where they will come to realize that they do not have to continue to rely only on reason, since their newly acquired faith has exposed the limitations of reason. If you cannot help them, just leave them. We already know there are points you cannot attain with reason, but only with faith. Areas where you do not need to understand before you believe. For such areas, the more you try to understand, the more confused you get. So it is better to resolve to faith because the evidence is just enough reason to believe. Like someone would ask how God came into being, or ask how possible that a virgin gave birth. This is why we need both reason and faith, so that where reason may want to limit you, your faith will come to your rescue. Faith takes you where reason cannot. Faith begins where reason ends. You said faith, and not that I say reason, but I say why not both?